There's a lot of other mystery guests going to show up. And all I can tell you is there's a lot of surprises happening at this party. And you really shouldn't miss it. Even if you have to drive 8 hours or so, you should come up to New York or fly in or do whatever, because this will be a lot of fun.
Oh, definitely. And on that note, I mean, now that you've given the guest list, per se, for those of you who are in the New York area, or if you're just listening and you would like to take a quick trip to New York this coming weekend, if you are the third caller right now, we will give you a pair of tickets, maybe? Is that what you said, Ricky? Just want to make sure I'm not...
Yeah, you can give the other pair away any way that you see fit.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, but you got to call us in the next few minutes because we're only on air another 15 minutes. So if you want those tickets to go to this premiere party, it is going to be, a lot of daytime. If you're a fan of daytime, this is the time. How many more opportunities are you ever going to get to not only see Ricky-Paull-Goldin, but a whole host of daytime stars and be part of one of the biggest premiere parties probably on the planet, New York City, this coming weekend. So
it's a lot of fun. There's going to be a red carpet, there's a cool photo booth. It's like a lot of fun stuff. But I don't know where I don't know when we'll get a group like this under the same roof. It's a pretty eclectic crowd. It's a pretty specific crowd. So, I know that they're doing some bus and truck tours across America, some soap events, but they're they're kind of rare these days, So I'm so honored that my friends are coming out to help out, and I'm proud for them to see the new show as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a call or two in a moment, but I did want to ask you, when you were doing daytime, like I said, I watched you on God and Light, and I watched you, as Gus Arturo. It was I guess I want to talk to you a little bit about Guiding Light just because I watched you on there, and I just thought the character was great, and love the whole Gus Parley storyline, and, love story. One of my favorite couples from the Guiding Light.
Thank you.
I want to ask, did you have a particular favorite storyline of the time that you were on Guiding Light? Because you were really, they had you cast in some pretty good ones, So for me, it's hard for me to say other than, my favorite, of course, was the Gus Parley love story, but there were some really good ones. The whole Spalding storyline.
Yeah, listen, one of my favorite characters I've ever played, fatally flawed kind of hero guy. And, slovingly, I stole from all my favorite characters. I stole from, my favorite actors. I stole from Peter Falk. I stole from Robert De Niro. I stole from Telly Savalas. I stole from anybody that, Carl Malden, Michael Douglas. I stole from all those guys, any of the great detectives. I was always giving some sort of ode to them. Even Jack Klugman from the Odd Couple. I stole from everybody, and to create that guy. And Paul Rausch, who was my fearless leader, who we just lost recently, was my executive producer, and kind of like my dad. He was like a dad figure for me, a big cigar chomping, real throwback to what a TV executive was, and he let Guiding Light be a playground for me because I think he knew in his heart I would never take advantage, and I would never, I didn't have a big ego, and I wouldn't take his letting me do that for granted. So, and then again, I had one of the best actors of all time returning the ball to me. Anything I hit was Beth Ehlers, and I think we grew up a lot together as actors on that show. And there's nothing I could throw that girl that would really get her off her game. And it's just, she's really one of the best. She's just really one of the best on her feet. Thinks so quickly and quicker than me, and would save the scene a million times because I screw it up. I'd screw it up, making up dialogue, just riffing. And, you never want to stop until you just have gotten so deep in a hole that you don't know how to get out. That's what we did often. I think that maybe I had a couple of great moments that I remember. First of all, the thing that I loved the most about Guiding Light was that those kids that were our kids, like Nick Art, that little boy, he went on to the Nanny Diaries, and he was in that Matt Damon movie. I feel like I was with those kids for their formidable years. They were like my kids. I'd have them making coffee, and I'd give them allowance, and we'd have fun together, and we'd draw together, and we'd goof around together. And it was like I had kids for 7-8 hours a day when I go to work, which actually made me want to have kids. So that was one of my favorite memories of the show. One of my favorite storylines probably was the drug storyline, because you've got this guy that people love, and he gets addicted to drugs, which we have a lot of people in our lives, or a lot of people can relate, that we can love somebody, and they've got a character flaw, and it's a disease. And however you get there, it's whatever everybody's personal story is. But that was I'd sleep in my dressing room many, many, many nights, preparing for the next day and not wanting to break character. I wasn't walking around like a drug addict, but I just wanted to. I didn't even have time to go home. I had to stay there. I had to be up so early. I worked so late. I'd order food into my dressing room. I did that a lot during that period of time. Oddly, another time that I really enjoyed was Gus's ending. I didn't know it was dying on the show, and it wasn't like Joey from Friends where I was thrown down an elevator shaft. It wasn't corny, but it's the emotions that it evoked. Being in a motorcycle accident, my mother was hysterical. My real mother in real life, watching the show. I've actually never watched the show, but I was there shooting it, so I remember. And the feelings that I had saying goodbye to one character after the other in the hospital bed, where it was so emotional, and it was the death of a character. I mean, it's a lot different than leaving a show and they recast you, and then they're comparing you, and they're comparing somebody else to the role. It was cathartic, yes, but for an actor, it was a very interesting process to go through, to be killed or to die on a TV show, especially a beloved character. And I got letters, and I got flowers, and I got chocolates, because people knew I liked chocolate-covered M&Ms. They're all chocolate-covered. I mean, peanut-covered M&Ms, chocolate. You know what I'm saying? I got so much candy I could have turned into a blimp, but it just showed love. It showed a lot of love. And I don't know. It was I will always remember that fondly. I get stopped a lot, mostly because of Gus Arturo. And every time, I'm always shocked. I think someone's going to ask me for directions or tell me I got ketchup on my face, but they're saying, no, I used to watch a show that I loved, and you were the guy, and la la la. I never take that for granted. I always forget that I've been on television. I do. I actually forget that that's what I do for a living, and that it affects anybody. So I'm always grateful.
I was one of those fans that was just bawling my eyes out when they killed your character off. I was just like, no, because you were one of those on the Guiding Light. Well, Guiding Light was such an iconic soap as it was, and it was, I was just saying the other day that it was just one of those soaps that it just drew you in, but it made you feel like you were part of it. And so when someone died on that soap, when a character died, you felt like a part of you was dying, or that, it was like a family member dying. And it was just, I just really grew to have a real fondness for your character as it evolved. I mean, because, Gus really did evolve as a character, and, he went through so many dynamic changes, and he just grew into a character that fans could really relate to, and I think just came to love. And so, when his character died, that was really hard, I think, for fans to see.
Well, it was for me, at least. I feel like it might, and I don't know, I've been told it was, from just, this is what I hear, that it was some of the last great soap opera moments were those two, were Gus and Harley. And I don't even know if that's true. I just don't know. I'm not the right person to ask. But that show really had a special feeling to it. I always thought the caliber of acting, not my own, but of the other actors, Justin Dees, just the people they would bring in as guests. I always felt like we were this little show in New York City, and in kind of a shabby studio, but we were really trying to make it quality. You know, it was less it was less glitzy and all of that. And if you were a Guiding Light fan, then you were a Guiding Light fan for sure, and you weren't going to be, you know. So I don't know. I was really proud to be a part of that. I always felt like these were just the Gus and Harley years. I always felt like a guest on that show because it was the longest running show in television history. So I just felt like we're going to, you know, I've got to do everything I can and be everything I can be for this show because I'm a guest. Even though I was there 8 years, I was a guest, and I never felt differently. I always felt honored to be there, you know. That's true.
Well, in 8 years, you really won the hearts of many fans of Guiding Light, and, you know, and we definitely considered you far more than just a guest. I mean, you became a household fixture, a household name. You know, I remember talking with my mother, my grandmother, going, "Did you see what Gus and Harley did today?" You know, it was just, you know, it was a really big storyline with Gus, you know, your character being cast, and we're just so glad that that's where I came to know you, Ricky-Paull-Goldin, you know, through that role in Guiding Light, and so I've kind of followed you since. And but yeah, it was a great place for you to be. I'm so glad that you were on my TV screen for 8 years.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you.
Well, before we wrap, we do have one call, and he has been kind enough to be on hold pretty much the whole time waiting to speak with you. And his name is David, and I'm going to bring him on now. Hello, David.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey, David. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm okay. I just want to, couple things. First off, you rock.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I've watched you since Dean Frame.
Oh, wow.
and I've enjoyed every performance you've done from Another World up to All My Children.
Thank you so much, man.
And
Dean Frame. Yeah. I had a lot of fun. On Another World. I mean, what a spoiled kid I was to be able to go. I loved music, so I got to perform on the show. I don't even know if they'd give you that kind of time in today's world, but I would perform, I'd rehearse, in the show, I'd have to do it live, and so I had such a good time. I mean, I had such a good time. Thank you for giving a shout-out to Dean Frame.
That's right. My question is to you, with 4 soaps, you've had 4 exquisite leading ladies. What did you learn from each one of them?
Wow, good question. Well, on Another World, it was a la Karat, and I guess I learned that we were younger, so I learned patience. And I learned how to be more giving, as an actor, as a human being. On, what was the next one? The next one was Young and the Restless. Heather Tom was my leading lady. I learned also a lot of patience, but I learned how to raise the bar and be fearless with her. I learned how to be fearless with Heather Tom, a really good actor. On Guiding Light, my leading lady was Beth Ehlers. I learned appreciation. From Beth Ehlers, and I learned the limits that I felt limitless on set. That we're moving so fast. She gave me courage to be everything that I could possibly be with Gus, and so I learned appreciation. And I think on All My Children with Chriselle Staus, pretty much as my leading lady, and Lindsay Hartley, but mostly Chriselle because we were together longer. I learned about finding the innocence again because I was getting older now as an actor, and Chriselle was younger than me, and there was an innocence that she had, and a naivete, but a good actor. And so I learned how to tap back into the child in myself. Yeah. And